Hello and welcome. We're coming to you live from our studios here in Kokomlemle on digital address GA0992539. All these stories this hour. Babies for sale. We tell you how a trafficking syndicate of doctors, nurses, traditional birth attendants and social workers stole and sold freshly born babies for 28 to 30,000 cedis more as the Economic and Organized Crime Office arrests 10 of them. And 6 more COVID-19 deaths here in Ghana in one day. We go over the grim details following discovery of a new variant of the infection here as scientists call for reimposition of restrictions on large gatherings. And we'll also take you to Germany, where the lockdown has been extended amidst fears of even more dangerous variants of COVID-19. Also coming up, Supreme Court sets January 26 to hear substantive matter in election petition as it outlines guidelines for expeditious hearing. But the John Mahama legal team finds the order unfair. We'll be getting more of the reactions on today's ruling. And the Pulse is brought to you by Global Communities Dignilu Affordable Safe Sanitation. Do join us on DSTV 421, GoTV 144. Remember, we're streaming live on YouTube and our other social media handles. Send your WhatsApp message to 0540109009. My name is Gifty Andropia. This is the Pulse. Please be my guest. Welcome to the show once again. Now, the Economic and Organized Crimes Office has arrested 10 members of a baby harvesting and trafficking syndicate here in the Greater Accra region. They steal babies from their mothers at the hospitals and sell them for 28 to 30,000 cedis. In a joint operation with the Medical and Dental Council, IOCO picked up doctors, nurses, social workers, and traditional birth attendants who operated in various hospitals here in the Greater Accra region, where they also traded the babies using a highly sophisticated modus operandi. Details of the briefing by IOCO and the Medical and Dental Council shortly. First, here is Manuel Kranting, who was embedded in one of such operations to arrest a member of the syndicate at the Tema General Hospital last month.
7 a.m. on the morning of 31st December 2020, the last day of the year. As many people prepared to bid farewell to one year and welcome another, somewhere at the Tema General Hospital within the Tema metropolis, a baby was about seeing the last of his biological mother. In motion on that fateful day was a sale of a 1-month-old baby boy by an organized baby selling cartel. This syndicate is made up of several people, including doctors, nurses, and social welfare officers, among others, all of whom are entrusted with the responsibility of providing assistance to mothers and their newly born babies. Their operations had been on the radar of the Medical and Dental Council for a while. And today, the council has teamed up with the officers from Economic and Organized Crime Office, IOCO, to foil one of such illegal transactions. The Connect, Leonard Able, an officer at the head office of the Department of Social Welfare, had already taken 10,000 Ghana cedis as a deposit for the baby, who he was selling at 28,000 Ghana cedis from a woman in need of a baby, not knowing she was an undercover officer with IOCO. The JoyNews team was embedded in the operation and filmed from a distance as Mr. Able went to collect the baby and accompanied the female undercover officer to a vehicle. This was the point of arrest. Leonard Able was arrested and the baby retrieved. On-site interrogations revealed Mr. Able was not alone. His accomplices, a nurse only identified as Nancy, and the head of the social welfare at the hospital, also referred to as Auntie Doris, had heard of the arrest and immediately bolted.
I've called her several times, but she's not picking up, so I keep on calling. Like, I don't know what to do.
What is her name? What is her surname? There's a woman who left in the car, in the taxi.
She left in the taxi?
Yes. They gave money that I should went and paid it.
Okay, so what's the evidence that you paid?
Oh, so the woman said that.
Which woman?
Nancy said that she had done adoption before. And she said that she had somebody, she has a baby, an abandoned baby here. Doris said she had an abandoned baby here. You get me? So I should assist her in the baby is there, somebody, if we have somebody.
Not even a call from the medical director of the facility could get them to return.
Can you come right away to my office? The General Hospital, Director's office. Yes. 1 hour's time.
The entire morning went by with the arrested suspect pleading for mercy as he sent the team on a wild goose chase from one facility to the other in search of his other accomplices.
Yes, but the way my name, my this thing, I beg you. Help me, I beg you.
Yes. So
help me.
I'm asking.
Can you go help me?
They give you money? They give you money? Did you take any money?
They gave money that I should went and paid it.
Okay.
The day ended with one arrest as the task force worked other leads to effect more arrests. For JoyNews, Manuel.
Well, as you heard earlier on, we understand that about a lot more of these persons have been arrested. We can now hear updates of the case from Executive Director of Yoko, Frank Edupoku.
The joint team carried out investigations into the illegal activities between the periods of June to November 2020. As a result of these investigations, 2 medical doctors, 2 social workers, 4 nurses, 2 mothers, and 1 traditional birth attendant have been arrested so far and are on bail pending further investigations. We currently have in our possession 2 baby boys who were bought as a result of the operation. The first arrest is the arrest of one Dr. Hope Mensah Kwashi on Thursday, December 31st, 2020. Dr. Hope Mensah Kwashi, who works with the 37 Military Hospital, was arrested at his private health facility named Susan Clinic, located at Latabi Okoshi, a suburb of Accra. He was alleged to have sold the first baby boy to the team for an amount of 30,000 Ghana cedis in October 2020. And Dr. Mensah Kwashi was arrested with 3 nurses who worked at his facility. And the nurses are Sylvia Awuse, John Adole Efi, and Angelina Ametepe. They have been identified as his accomplices, together with one Dede Gifty Anipi, a traditional birth attendant at Bethlehem Maternity Home at Santo, a suburb of Pong Katamanso, who was alleged to have referred the mother of the first baby to Susan Clinic. Madam Dede Gifty Anipi was arrested by our team on January 15, 2021. So apart from Dr. Kwashi, we have also arrested a social welfare officer. And the name of the social welfare officer is Mr. Leonard Agbeli. Mr. Leonard Agbeli. And on the part of Mr. Leonard Agbeli, this is what I have for you. On Thursday, December 21st, On Thursday, December 31st, 2020, a joint team from the Medical and Dental Council and IOCO arrested Mr. Leonard Agbe at a health facility in Tema. This was after the suspect agreed to help the investigators purchase a new baby boy for a sum of 28,000 Ghana cedis. 28,000 Ghana cedis. Mr. Agbe led a member of the investigations team to the Tema General Hospital, where the baby was handed over to them by a lady named Nancy Obaya. Nancy Obaya. Further investigations revealed that one Doris Bedu, the social welfare officer at the Tema General Hospital, was the brain behind the sale of the baby. The baby was allegedly supplied to Madame Doris Bedu by one Dr. Noah Kofi Latte. Dr. Noah Kofi Latte for sale.
Well, that's the IOCO boss for you. Well, let's hear from the acting registrar of the Medical and Dental Council, Dr. Divine Banyubala.
Actions are rooted in the mandate we have given. And like as I indicated, once you have been arrested and you are being investigated for serious offenses of this nature, in the public interest, in the professional interest, and in the interest of society in ensuring that miscreants or criminals do not masquerade as members of the noble, honorable, or learned profession of medicine, we will withhold certain parts of your practices until a court of competent decision determines your fate. If it is negative, it may satisfy, even though you may not have met the criminal requirements, you may actually be subject to professional inquiry through the due process. Or if you have been convicted and sentenced, then you are also liable to disciplinary proceedings. So either way, the council's mandate is fully engaged, and as you can see, we have shown 100% commitment to ensuring that we work together to rid our profession, our healthcare system, of all miscreants, so that we can continue to comfortably engage the services of these professionals, give our lives to them in the confidence and the trust that they are persons of high integrity.
Well, let me hear from you. Have you, perchance heard of any of such stories? Let's hear from you. And the number is 0540109009. You heard there earlier, Acting Registrar of the Medical and Dental Council, Dr. Divine Banyubala. Let's talk to gender activist and Executive Director of the ACT Foundation, Angela Dwamna Abuaje. It's been a while, Angela. Thank you and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Gypsy.
Okay.
Hope you're fine.
I'm blessed. Now, this story, I'm sure you have heard it. Does it surprise you, or is it something that we believe exists, but just haven't been able to uncover those behind it?
Well, it's both surprising and not too surprising. Surprising because a few years ago, the Gender Ministry did very well to centralize adoption matters. A lot of it has to do with the fact that they were trying to stem baby racketing and, people who are using unorthodox methods to get babies to adopt and so on. And because that centralized agency was set up in response to not only international convention, but even our own practices, it sort of went down, or we thought so. We thought we'd been able to at least do something that enables people who really want children to know what to do, where to go, and be aware of the sanctions if they did anything untoward and so on. But human beings as we are, no matter how you try to make something good or legal, there are people who would always exploit others, take advantage of people's vulnerabilities and ignorance, and do these kinds of things. So to some extent, I'm not too surprised that this has been uncovered. But my hope was that, we had really been able to stem at least a large part of the tide at the time when we had a lot of these cases happening.
Well, you seem to be saying it's a little too late.
Well, I'm not sure it's too late. If the Yoko has been able to uncover this, then I'm just expecting that they should go the full hog. I mean, that's the only complaint I have about our law enforcement agencies, particularly when it comes to issues like this, that they can do a great job, but somewhere along the middle, they stop. Everything falls apart again. And most of the time, some of these efforts are not only the legal efforts that you do, okay, the investigative part, trying to arrest people, to prosecute them, but getting civil society involved at a very deep level, through consultation and also getting them involved in monitoring, evaluating, policing, doing some lay intelligence work and so on and so forth. If these things don't happen, we may get a few people prosecuted, okay, we may get a high-profile case here and there, and then that should be it.
You seem to be addressing the root or part of the root of this problem when you indicate that it looks as if the processes to go through to adopt is pretty cumbersome around here in Ghana. Is that the case?
Well, it's changed. Adoption should never be an easy thing to do anywhere because a human being is involved. So if you want the process to be hunky-dory, I mean, I don't want a very easy adoption process. I want a properly laid out, adoption process that people can go through legally and then be able to get the results that they are looking for. And it shouldn't be so easy because this is a human being and somebody has to take good care of them. Okay? But that is not to say we should have cumbersome processes. We used to have cumbersome processes. But that is why there was a lot of reform in this area. And now, yes, there is a centralized adoption agency, based at the social welfare. The processes are laid out. The only thing is, will people do the legal thing? We always want to do the easier thing, the underhand thing, the one that gives you quick money for quick results. And that's why we find ourselves here.
With this, I mean, it's possible that we've had a group of people who have been in this business for a very long time. To what extent are you optimistic that perhaps it will reduce the incidents?
Well, first of all, this matter must be taken very seriously. Okay. I don't have all the facts, but the Yoko and all the agencies should push it to its limit. The Criminal Offences Act is there. It has provisions that covers concealment of child stealing, which is a second degree felony. You have the Human Trafficking Act that covers this kind of thing. They should use every legal means possible to make sure that all the people involved in this racket, as far as possible, they can get them and prosecute them. That's important. It's a deterrent thing. But it shouldn't end there. That is my only plea. There needs to be more work at the substantive level. Work that involves ordinary people, ordinary organizations, CBOs, FBOs, drivers unions, ordinary people. And this can be done because it's also part of policing work. And that's why community policing, for example, is something that Ghana is trying to work at but hasn't really succeeded in doing. That's the kind of way in which you bust these kinds of crimes. There are many people in Ghana who are very empathetic where children are concerned and are totally scandalized to hear things like this still happening in our hospitals and things like that. So there are many people who will help you on the ground. Just don't stop. That is what Ghana we do. We do this, we get somewhere, we stop until the next time there's a big case. And that, for me, has always been the problem when it comes to dealing with little people. Well, talking about little people, it seems that this exercise has ended up in rescuing perhaps one of them. Typically, what happens to a child like that? If they can't trace their parent, what do you think? Well, sometimes it's very difficult for me to think that you can't trace a parent of a child. I'm not saying it's impossible, but this is Ghana, and we're a very close-knit society. As somebody would say, everybody is everybody.
Okay.
So if you do a good job, you might find something. Even if you don't find, we do have formal ways of getting a child fostered or a child adopted. Okay, so you need to put them into the system properly, and the system must be supervised. And that is why sometimes it's harrowing to find out that the people who are supposed to protect nurses, doctors, social workers are involved in these things. And that's why it's important to really grab them wherever you find them. And let those who do this work well and know what to do. And believe you me, there are many of such people in the system who do this work with a lot of dedication. They are called to it and they know what to do. So even if they don't find a parent, they're able to get this child placed in a loving home. And that is what the ultimate aim should be.
In your practice, in the course of your practice, do we usually succeed with what you have just described?
Oh yes, oh yes. There are many children who have found homes, adoptive parents or foster parents. There's now there's a campaign going on actually, even as I speak. It's not being made as public as it should because sometimes these campaigns are starved of funds. But there's the fostering campaign going on by the Social Welfare Department. I know people who are involved in it in trying to get as many Ghanaian parents to get onto the foster parents register so that children don't have to stay in institutions, so that children can be nurtured in homes and so on. And yes, there are many Ghanaian people who are happy to do this. It's often that they just do not know what to do or how to go about it, how to go about being registered on the register and so on and so forth. So I would actually ask the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection to really look at that campaign again, up it, and get a lot more parents. Many people have now become, they are retired, they are home, they have a little funds to spend on somebody else's child and so on and so forth. And we'll be happy to get onto this kind of campaign and be registered and foster children such as these ones that have been found. So it can be done. It is being done, except that I think that it should be up.
Angela, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Angela Jamna Abuaji there, who is the Executive Director of the ACK Foundation. This is the business they're into, protecting the vulnerable. Like I said, I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this particular story? Well, apparently in our discussions, editorial discussions, apparently this is pretty or can be pretty easy to do. That's if you want to steal a child, unless the family members or the person involved is extra vigilant. But of course, like Angela said, there are nurses and doctors and social workers who are dedicated to their work and doing so. The number is 0540-109009. Let's hear from you. Well, this afternoon, we keep our tabs on the spread of COVID-19. It's so everywhere. It is so everywhere in the world. But in Ghana, our situation is worsening by the day recently. New figures show another surge. Well, those are our new figures, as you can see there. This is for January 16th to January 16th. The new cases, 366. That's as of January 16th. The active cases, 2,174. Now check this out. Out of the 2,174, there are critical cases. And of course, there are mild cases as well. The critical cases we're looking at 36. Previously, it was just 13. And the severe cases are 98. So critical and severe, though gradually 98. Hopefully it doesn't move into critical, but we're looking at critical cases 36 and severe 98. And that's a lot. 92% increase over the past few days. I was telling you about our COVID cases. Well, while the cases continue to rise, Dr. Anefi Asamoah, who is the Presidential Coordinator of Government of Ghana's COVID-19 Response Program and former Deputy Director General of the World Health Organization, has issued another warning. He says the country lacks adequate manpower to deal with the situation if it continues to escalate the way it is going. He was speaking at the 72nd Annual New Year School in Accra yesterday. Manuel Kranting visited the Nyaho Clinic also, which announced yesterday that it was turning its full attention to COVID and turning away patients who attended ailments other than, who came in with ailments other than COVID-19. Manuel will be joining me via Zoom. But I believe we can hear from the Dr. Anefi now. Right, let's get on to Zoom. Manuel Kranting is joining me. Hello, Manuel.
Yes, Gifty.
Manuel, let's start with what you found on your rounds.
So, like you said earlier, the Nyaho Medical Center on 18th of January 2020 released a statement. In fact, that statement we were told was an internal memo directed at its internal staff, and essentially was given an indication that they were now cutting down on all their other services and focusing only on COVID-19. Well, my visit there this morning revealed that this particular directive has actually been reviewed, in that, yes, because of congestion and the sort of pressure that the request for medical attention is putting on the facility, they are having to, yes, cut down on a few of their services, but they have not cut down on all the services like was circulated on social media earlier. In fact, their business update on their website mentions that, and I'll read a bit of that to you, that due to the increasing number of cases in Accra specifically, we continue to make decisions at the center on a real-time basis to ensure patient safety and quality care. This might mean referring selected cases to other facilities from time to time. That means that for some of the not so critical cases, never mind even if they are not COVID-19, they'll have to refer some of them to other referral facilities so that they're able to concentrate on COVID-19. But they have not ended all non-COVID related services. They are still rendering those services, except that it's been scaled down a bit, Gifty.
And Manuel, did you get the chance to take a look at the facility yourself? Did you, are you able to confirm with the congestion we're talking about here?
Yes, so the facility has, a restricted area where COVID patients are kept, and that is a no-go area for people who have not been admitted on account of COVID-19. And so for that area, you're not able to go there. But I was told, in fact, by one of the officials there who took me around to observe the facility, that that particular area has been, just restricted from the public, where you have other areas in the facility also, where they receive non-COVID related services. So yes, you're seeing, and you feel the congestion. In fact, at the premises of the facility, the Nyaho Medical Center, you see vehicles moving in and coming out. And in about an hour that I was there, I could count up to more than 200 people who had come to take COVID test and move away from the facility and so on and so forth. So you're having a real sense of the pressure that the facility is having to go under due to the surging cases of COVID-19, particularly in Accra, which we're told is the epicenter.
Did this official that you spoke to, was he able to share his own, thoughts or emotions with you about what the health workers there themselves are experiencing?
And one thing which was not lost on any of the officials that I spoke to at the facility was the fact that the education must keep going on, because for they themselves, even the health officials there who are rendering the service, they seem to be inundated with the work, so much pressure on them, some of them having to take extra hours to be able to provide care for the patients who are on admission there. And so they're trumpeting, as it were, the need for people to wear the face mask when they go out and stick to all the other COVID-19 protocols, just so that they can keep themselves safe. And for them at the facility also, they can, take a breather from the pressure that they seem to be going through.
Manuel, thank you. Manuel Kranting there, who has been out and about checking out the situation at the Nyaho Clinic, where they have issued a statement saying that they are turning away. They want to focus on persons who have been infected by COVID-19. And so the airport branch has been essentially restricted for that cases. It just tells you the number of cases they're having to deal with and how the numbers keep surging. Away from Nyaho, I want to take you to the Volta region. Ivy Setsoji has been moving around to find out how people are complying with at least the wearing of face masks, if we could put it that way. Ivy is joining me via Zoom. Hello, Ivy. Ivy? Ivy, do you hear me? Okay, we'll get to Ivy. Some of you have already been sending in your messages. In fact, you're focusing a lot on the baby selling syndicate story that we brought to you earlier. But some of you have also been talking about coronavirus. This one says, is from Abdullah Abdul Razak, General in Tamale. He says, we all must abide by the safety protocols in order to reduce the spread of the deadly virus, which is on the rise. And it all boils down to our lackadaisical attitude, which will plunge the country into economic crisis if care is not taken. And Abdul, you make that point quite succinctly there. This one says the COVID-19 cases are increasing because of the campaign prior to the election, but the government is shifting the blame to the Christmas festivities. Now schools are reopened without PPEs to the student or pupils or teachers as well. Today, the government is saying they will hesitate to lock down. They won't hesitate to lock down the country if need arise. Now, is the president exposing the public to be infected before he locks down? What is it, or what is it? Okay. Thank you for sending your message. You don't add your name, but over a year now, the country has been battling the deadly coronavirus pandemic, which has cost the lives of many, as you may well be aware of. Majority of these deaths were, however, said to have been as a result of underlying conditions, especially among the aged. And it seems that many young people consider the virus as the preserve for older people. But recent data shows that everyone, including young people, are vulnerable. Judith Awachitando has been interacting with some youth about this revelation.
Again, according to statistics from the Ghana Health Service, the considerable number of persons who are severely ill are surprisingly relatively youthful persons with no previous underlying health conditions.
That's the President Akufo-Addo during his 22nd address to the nation on the COVID-19 pandemic. The latest deaths from the virus seem to be sending shivers down the spines of many. It has been confirmed that many people in critical condition are young and are without underlying health issues. Meet Lois Bedo-Nkansa, a 21-year-old student of the University of Ghana who was very disturbed about the virus.
So it makes me really worried to leave the comfort of my home, to be in such a big place where I'm at risk all the time, sharing a room with someone in the same dorm, on the same floor. The possibilities are endless with how quickly and how seriously you can get the virus. You can die. Like, it's very mind-boggling.
She admits the hikes in cases should be a big worry to everyone, including young people.
You see, at first, I actually thought that I don't have any underlying problem that could trigger me dying from COVID. But now you don't even need anything to die out of this new virus, this new strain of virus, and it's really scary.
For her, coping with the virus in school has been more than a hurdle.
We can't see the virus, we can't feel it, we can't touch it, but it's there. So you always, like, your life is now pinned to the nose mask, and it's really uncomfortable having to sit with it, studying all night, all day. It's uncomfortable, and all the activities that made school fun have been taken out of the picture all of a sudden, like in a flash. Everything is gone. The drink cups, the social gatherings, like the fun of university life has been cut off so suddenly.
Some others have expressed concern about the way the youth in Ghana have taken the virus for granted. They say they are doing all they can to prevent the deadly virus from shortening their lives.
It has always been scary. We just have to protect ourselves and just follow the protocols. Because as at now, everybody can get in contact. You don't even know who, even the person you're talking to, whether the person is safe or not.
I think in Ghana it's much scary now because you see a lot of people dropping their guards. They are no longer wearing, you sit in the church hall and you see a lot of people no longer wearing their masks and all of that.
It's really, really bad because most of them were thinking that like it only affected the aged, but as it shows right now, that's false. And then I think the youths really need to get educated.
The big call on all is to mask up because COVID-19 is now no more respecter of age. Judith Awochitando's report for JoyNews.
Well, let's take you to the Savannah region. Isaac Nonya is our correspondent there. Appreciate the messages that most of you are sending, ensuring, sensitizing all of us to mask up. Isaac, I understand that the cost of masks is one thing that we are having to deal with in the region. Tell us a bit more.
That is true, because the prices that were witnessed last year have suddenly jumped up. We have the cloth one, which used to be sold somewhere 2 cedis. Now they take it to 3 cedis and 4 cedis, depending on where you are going to buy it from. The surgical one, which was 2 cedis. Some places still 2 cedis, other pharmacies is 3 cedis. And if you observe the purchase per last year, many residents, particularly those in West Gonja municipality, purchased a cloth one. The surgical one was also purchased by those who felt that they
Isaac?
could use it to.
I don't know why I'm losing you because you are stable, but Isaac, go over what you just said. I lost you.
May result to the government ability to fight this pandemic or their own challenge of convicting the pandemic. If it happens, they happen to go in contact with somebody who has.
Hello, Isaac. Isaac, you are breaking. Maybe we can try and raise Isaac back on the line as I take some of your messages that you've sent in. This one doesn't add a name, but says, I think we should go back to the days of the lockdown where we were adhering to the COVID protocols. Mind you, the lockdown had its own impact on our economy, and so the best is for us to keep the economy running, but for us to take care of ourselves. This one says, African leaders must sit up and stop depicting the spirit of ignorance. Can't we rely on our researchers to invent a medicine to curb or cure this COVID-19 pandemic? You go on and on about your thoughts. Thank you very much for sharing that. And this one says the COVID-19 cases are increasing because, I think that I've taken this one already. This one says, I think the law must act now on them. And thanks to the security too for doing a good job. Thank you very much. Let's try Ivy from the Volta region now, see how it's going. Ivy, what can you report today?
Yeah, today things have improved steadily. Some schools like the Zion College in Angloga, the Zico Basic School also in Angloga, and the Ketsa Senior High School face masks, washing their hands before they enter the classroom, and they were also using the sanitizer. So in some few schools, as I mentioned earlier, have been able to adhere to the protocols. So at least with that, we think things are improving little by little. But it's also brought to the fact that face masks, the price of face masks is still going up because of these issues. People want to make money from this. So it's making it difficult for people who cannot afford to purchase it. So for now, some of the schools I visited, as I said earlier, have been able to adhere to the protocols. You see all students in the classes using the face masks and washing their hands with their sanitizers with them.
Which sounds like a good thing, Ivy. Thank you. Hopefully by next week we would have gotten used to, or children would have gotten used to the processes, the new processes before they get into the classroom. Thank you. Ivy Setoji with a report from the Volta region. Well, to deal with this, scientists have already started calling for the reimposition of the ban on large public gatherings as part of the measures to curb the quick spread of the virus. The new variant, I must say, as health facilities get overstretched with more severe and critical cases. Director of the West African Center for Cell Biology of Infectious Pathogens at the University of Ghana, Professor Gordon Awandare, is proposing that earlier restrictions such as bans on large gatherings must be reintroduced. He spoke on PM Express, and we brought to you that soundbite yesterday. We're reminding you once again.
There are two levels to this thing. The government level and then the individual level. And I think at the government level, I was quite surprised that the president didn't put a ban on funerals and weddings, now. People will always be irresponsible. So if you give them the chance, they'll do it. I think some people still go ahead and have big weddings and big funerals, even in the midst of this crisis. So you need to just put a ban on these things. We shouldn't expect that people will behave properly, because we've seen that doesn't happen. Over the Christmas, we also that you cannot rely on people to make those decisions wisely. So I was surprised that they didn't put a ban on funerals and weddings, or at least restrict the number to 100 like before. At the individual level, I would say that let's be a little bit considerate of our fellow citizens. If you have a wedding or a funeral plan within the next 1 month, please postpone. Please postpone or reduce, just limit it to, if you have to do it, limit it to less than 100 people and get it done. But it's best to postpone. I think if we all pull back our social interactions 1 month continuously, we will all see that the wave will go down, and then we can, sort of come back out a little bit. So the longer we, for lack of a better word, live freely or misbehave, the longer this, current crisis lasts. If we all pulled back, like we did earlier in the pandemic when there was a lockdown, we would see that the cases would go down rapidly over the next 1 month, and then we can resume some level of normalcy. So that would be at the individual level. Then we have to hold each other accountable. I always tell students that if you are sitting with fellow students and any of them is not wearing a mask, you should insist that they put on a mask, because they are the ones who are likely to be carrying the virus, because they don't wear a mask in front of you. It means they don't wear a mask anywhere. So they are likely to be carrying the virus. Maybe they're just not showing symptoms. So you have to insist that people should wear masks around you. And there should be no fear or shame in demanding that if you're going to talk to me, you should wear a mask. Or if you're going to be a meeting with me, you should wear a mask. And so we need to do that.
Well, he says postpone if you have any such festivities coming up. Well, staff and pupils of Ayebin Memorial A and B Primary School are heaving a sigh of relief following the refurbishment of classroom blocks for kindergarten pupils there. Head teacher of the school, Solomon Adovo, says the intervention by Car Powership Ghana now put the school in a better position to deliver quality education for the pupils.
So you are looking at a very colorful, well-painted, well-organized, standard classroom block. This is a kindergarten classroom block at Mamobi. But this wasn't the situation some few months ago. Take a look at how this particular classroom looked few months back. So that was how the classroom looked like until Car Powership came in with an intervention to have this place renovated and now giving it a facelift. The children are now happily learning and playing with the toys that have been provided again by Car Powership. Let's find out from the Turkish ambassador to Ghana why they came up with this particular intervention.
Ironbark School is a sister school of Turkish Marif Foundation School in Accra, which was started its operations in 2019. And this year, with the support of Car Powership Ghana, we engaged in the renovation and refurbishment of the kindergarten classes of the school.
I noticed that Car Powership has also come up with some classroom items as well.
Yes, Car Powership donated some classroom items to support the education of the preschoolers attending to this kindergarten. And the Turkish Marif Foundation donated some toys for the preschoolers.
Actually, the place was meant for the primary schools when the shift system was stopped or was abolished. So what happened is that the PCs were using this place. In fact, I may say, as the enrollment reduces or try to go down, the place was empty. So the cages were moved into that place. So the KG, the room was only one room for the two classes. That's KG1, KG2, with a number of 48 in enrollment. KG1, 29, KG2, 19.
And they were all crammed
in the same room. And they were using desks instead of kindergarten tables. So we don't even, at that time, we don't have enough desks for them. The ventilation too was very poor because they have only one window for the whole room. So whenever it's 10 o'clock, the room becomes very hot. So the timely intervention by Marif International to a partnership with our school, they observed all the difficulties we were going through. So we approached them and they were ready to renovate the place. So during the renovation, they agreed to renovate the two rooms for us.
As a company, education is one major area we invest in. So we came in to refurbish the classrooms. We roofed the whole place, gave them new chairs and tables, also brought in educational materials. And as you know, we are in COVID time, so we decided to bring in sanitizers, nose masks, liquid soap, tissue to help them also practice the safety protocols of COVID-19.
Well, looks like some pretty good social distancing going on there in that classroom. I'm wrapping up on COVID-19 stories, but just a few of your messages. This one says government officials are not putting on the masks. And when you go to the hospital, doctors and nurses themselves are not putting on the masks. The rise of COVID is as a result of political campaign, and now they are blaming us. You say that's such a shame. It is obvious the government is losing the fight against COVID-19. They stopped the weekly press conference. Poor public education. Government should empower NCCE to do education. From Stanley Akono in Sege. Thank you very much. Take a very quick break. When we return, we go to Parliament. A lot more interesting developments there. I'll tell you all about it. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Many thanks for staying with us. The NPP caucus in Parliament is accusing the NDC caucus of attempting to frustrate government business there. The NPP also accuses the NDC of trying to compromise the Speaker's impartiality. Addressing a media briefing in Parliament House, Deputy Leader of the NPP caucus, Alexander Afenyomarking, questioned why the NDC says is shielding Asin North MP James Kwesen to continue doing business in the House despite a court injunction on him.
Conduct of our colleagues is compelling enough, and if we do not point these things out now, it may affect the future conduct of business in the House. We've gone through an election. The result as produced by the people of Ghana is respected by all of us. Parliament survives on consensus. Parliament survives on give and take. But it shouldn't be a situation where, as Mr. Speaker put it, an obstructionist agenda. We say it here and now, that our colleagues have an obstructionist agenda, and same must be condemned for want of a better word, and they must change their posture. They must not be seen as acting as though nothing about governance matter. This has been their language. The NDC is full of mischief, and what they want to do is to ambush Parliament, frustrate governance in this critical period. COVID-19. We never anticipated it. Salaries must be paid. Budget must run through. Ministers are needed to run government business. They are part of the governance of this country. So if this is the approach they want to adopt, that you either give it to me or I frustrate you, that is their language. This is not democracy. This is not patriotism. So to go with this path would mean to create a meltdown situation.
Well, we'll talk about coronavirus in Parliament as well, but the NPP caucus there is now opposing a motion by Boko Central MP Mahama Yarga that's seeking for Parliament to suspend payment of admission fees by tertiary students. The NPP's Chief Whip Frank Anodompre and leader Seiche Mensah-Bonsu say the motion is incompetent and flawed. Let's go live now to Parliament to get more on this.
Admission fee. There's only one component of the academic facility user fees, which he, the mover of the motion, read at all list to say that the president should only remove the admission fee, which is minuscule in terms of the fees total. He said 17. He's talking only one. He even brought in SRC News and Luke's News. Meanwhile, he has brought SRC people here. Mr. Speaker, SRC is the students that decide on the SRC News. It's the students that decide on the SRC News. Now we are saying that after the students have decided on SRC News, the president is being requested not to approve the SRC News. The president has no power when this house has decided. The president of the republic has no power when this house has decided by substituting legislation to approve the fees. This motion, Mr. Speaker, is incompetent on the face and the value of everything. Where does the president come in? How are we going to resolve to request the president when the power is in this house? When the power is in this house, bring a motion of decision, and 2/10 members of this house will support it if it's appropriately done. This is the Speaker, I beg to move that it should not be allowed, it should not be entertained, and it's an insult to this house. Thank you.
I see there are many more people who want to contribute, but you limited the number to 4 on each side. And I have so many of them. And you want more numbers for the preliminary before you go to the substantive.
Mr. Speaker, I thought you said this is preliminary issue before we go to the substantive motion.
Yes. So I'm asking, you want that to be different from the 4 each? And how many numbers? I have time for you.
Mr. Speaker, we've agreed on 3-3 on the preliminary issue.
Wait, let me
what we are discussing.
2 more. Yes, Honorable John Jinapo.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, as a second termer in this Parliament, I have never in my life, Mr. Speaker, seen such a competent motion like this very one. Mr. Speaker, this is the most competent motion I've ever seen in my life. Yes. It's not just competent. It is not just competent. It is relevant in contemporary Ghanaian economics as far as tertiary education is concerned. Mr. Speaker, my friend and senior colleague, the Honorable Matthew Bokum Prepe, who I shall be engaging in due course, stated that we should rather come on a motion of rescission. That is a completely different tangent, Mr. Speaker. Sure. We are not debating the issue of fees and charges. All the venerable, intelligent, learned Mahama Ayaraga is asking of. Mr. Speaker, it's simple. That this House, as a sign of magnanimity, as a sign of sympathy, and as a sign of empathy, and a sign of concern, should just make a request to His Excellency the President that given the suffering and the untold hardship and the impoverishment of the Ghanaian students, that His Excellency the President should consider suspending, just suspending the issue of these fees. Mr. Speaker, if this is not a competent motion, then which other motion is competent? Mr. Speaker, I refer to what the Minister of Finance presented to us in respect of an update on the COVID situation. Mr. Speaker, this very House approved an amount of 1.2 billion from the stabilization fund, dollar equivalent of about 219 million cedis. In addition to that, Mr. Speaker, we implored, this House, took a decision that the Bank of Ghana should suspend payment of interest amounting to 1.2 billion, that the World Bank should be approached for an amount of 1.7 billion, that the IMF should be approached for an amount of 3 billion, and a reduction of GMPC's net and carried interest from 30% to 15%. Mr. Speaker, the President has had cause to announce the suspension of payment of water, suspension of payment of electricity. And so if this House decides that we want to implore on the President to equally suspend the payment of fees, why should this even bring contention? Mr. Speaker, with these few words, and seeing my senior colleague, my senior, Honorable Seche Mensah Bonsu, nodding his head, I am confident and certain that this motion is the most competent motion in the whole world.
Yes, Honorable Majority Leader. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Bujinapo is implored seriously not to bear false witness. John Dinapo, not to bear false witness against his neighbor. He knows that is very, very unchristian. Yes, because he knows that is very, very unchristian and very, very uncharitable. Honorable Majority Leader, can you do what is needful? Honorable Majority Leader, were you nodding your head? Mr. Speaker, I was not. Mr. Speaker, I was not. And indeed, I have not, I had not, I will not. The Deputy Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity to add my voice on the preliminary objection raised in respect of this motion before this House. Mr. Speaker, Order 54A talks about, Mr. Speaker, with your leave, let me quote. The right to move a motion under this order is subject to the following conditions. the matter proposed for discussion must relate to a genuine emergency calling for immediate and urgent consideration. Mr. Speaker, I am inviting you to hold, in accord with the earlier call by my colleague, that this motion is incompetent, it is not properly before this House. The matter in issue as it relates is a matter that cannot be enforced by Mr. President. Mr. Speaker, and I will explain. The decision to apply fees and charges is not an executive decision. It's a decision backed by legislation. When my respected colleague,
Honorable Majority Chief Whip, the preliminary objection was not on procedural, it was substantive. Now you are adding procedural. No.
Mr. Speaker, if perhaps you can consider us as ex-cathedral position.
Honorable, you are entitled. You are entitled so to do. But I just want to get you right so that we know that the objections we are raising is on both procedural and substantive.
Mr. Speaker, both on procedure and on the substance of the preliminary objection as raised. Mr. Speaker, I am further fortifying the position by referring to the Order 54A. That is why I decided to rely heavily.
I admitted the motion, and I considered all those orders before I admitted the motion. And so on issue of procedure, you are entitled to disagree with me. That I have no problem. But I'm just drawing your attention to it. I see the Honorable former Minister for Interior, Honorable Ambrose Derry, itching to contribute. So just a minute, let me listen to him.
Right, Honorable Speaker. This motion refers to admission fees. And Mr. Speaker, admission fees apply to new entrants only. Admission fees apply to new entrants only. Now, the motion says, Mr. Speaker, the motion says that also introducing continuing students. Mr. Speaker, let's try, we want a motion or resolution from here that will make an impact. And therefore, we should issue a resolution which would have weight. But this, number one, admission fee applies to only new entrants. Secondly, you are saying by the motion that it should be part of the relief program. Now, even under Order 50, is it a ministerial responsibility, an administrative responsibility? Why are you going to presidency? And if there's a program that has been brought here and approved by Parliament, is there still a gap? What is the impact on the budgetary situation, all that? Mr. Speaker, I think that this motion is too important to have been moved in such a vague manner. It becomes difficult for this House, representing our people, this august House, to come out with a resolution that would, not amount to anything. So yes, the intention might be good, and I have no difficulty with any motion we move here. But what do we intend to achieve?
there must be precision. And Mr. Speaker, you are a speaker of so many years in this House. We cannot pass resolutions that are not worth the paper on which we put it. And if you look at this, there's so many unknowns that it becomes a problem. So, Mr. Speaker, I believe there's good intention. Can we at least ask that this matter be done in a manner that makes it easier for us to interrogate the issues better, in which case we think that as it is, we cannot deal with it effectively. You are asking for admission fees which don't apply to continuing students. The students here know they don't pay admission fees. Mr. Speaker, and if we do it properly, we will then be able to tell whether under the government program there is provision for this to be taken off the students. But once we are bringing only admission fee, we are constrained. If the president has a program that has a way of settling it without COVID relief, is it not possible? Mr. Speaker, I think that this motion deserves better detail and better attention by this House. Let's not make it the usual two-sided argument. If there is a good intention, let us give adequate detail and deal with it judicially, effectively. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Actually, Honourable Minister, I thought we were raising on a point of order, but you've taken your bite. And I decided to listen to you because you were raising some very important issues on the substance, not on procedure. But I'll now listen to the Honourable Deputy Majority Leader. Yes, you may continue.
So, Mr. Speaker, if I may remind my colleagues of the terms of this motion, and at the risk of being repetitive, I would want to read the motion paper, the motion, the content as it is one more time, to guide the basis upon which this motion is incompetent. That this House resolves to request the President of the Republic of Ghana to take urgent steps to suspend the payment of admission fees by new entrants into public tertiary education institutions and continuing students of those institutions for the 2021 academic year as part of national COVID-19 relief programs being implemented by government. Mr. Speaker, the invitation that a resolution from this House will make would be for the President to suspend the payment of admission fees and payment of fees for continuing students. But, Mr. Speaker, question: when this House has passed a law, which law is being implemented, can we, by an executive fiat, direct that the executive should suspend the implementation of same? Honorable John Jinapo, in his argument, Mr. Speaker, yes, Mr. Speaker, with all due respect, this is a legal argument. Patience. This is debate. Patience and listening. So jot down your point. Mr. Speaker, my colleague John Jinapo, in his submission, referred to a Bank of Ghana situation where the government directed that certain interests, those were not allies. Those policies, those decisions by Bank of Ghana are not one that would need to come to Parliament. In this case, what our colleague is inviting us to do is to invite the President of the Republic to suspend a law. What we are saying is that, no, that cannot be done. That cannot be done in any way, Mr. Speaker, because the law subsists. You cannot suspend its implementation. If for nothing at all, Mr. Speaker, a motion must come properly before this House for this House to rescind that LI and the provisions thereof, so that the very relief he is seeking could be met. In any event, Mr. Speaker, the government is at its formative stage. We know that this government has implemented a lot of COVID relief policies, programs. We have had free water. Government, because it was not backed by LI, it's not an LI that determines water tariff. Please. Now, Mr. Speaker, we have had support to the private sector, which is within the ambit of the government. NBSSI is supporting the private sector. NEIP, MASROC. Government has introduced several relief support programs, including school feeding to private schools. And Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Deputy Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
One of your men is up on his feet. Maybe he has a point of order to raise.
Rightly so, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, may I respectfully ask you to refer to Article 297C, because these are legal issues that has fallen this House. Mr. Speaker, with your kind permission, in respect of LI 297C of the Constitution, on implied power, where a power is given to a person or authority to do or enforce the doing of an act or a thing, all such powers shall be deemed to be also given as are necessary to enable that power or authority to do or enforce the doing of that thing. Mr. Speaker, this is a legislative instrument which was approved by this House. The processes of annulling an LI are well laid out under Article 11.7 of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, all public universities are set out under statutes. There are statutes, there are regulations, which are all determined under the Constitution. So the motion before us, which my colleague and good friend is asking us to do, culminates from an LI, which is properly so-called, which the universities or public universities are using. Question is, has the President got the power to suspend...
Honourable Member, I thought you were going to raise a point of order.
Under 297C, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order.
Right.
That cannot be a point of order. You are making a substantive submissions for the consideration of the House. Yes, Honourable Deputy Majority Leader, you may conclude.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, so all that the mover of the motion is saying is that we should invite the President to do what by law he cannot do. Not too long ago, Mr. Speaker, no less a person than the leader of minority leader, Honorable Harun Etusu, questioning the conduct of the President in respect of Presidential Transition Act. He was questioning certain appointments. It means that they are on red alert in respect of the laws of this country. How then do you invite the same President to absorb fees, to suspend the payment, to instruct the universities not to charge.
So those are live visuals coming to you from Parliament, where they are debating a motion forwarded by the Boko Central Member of Parliament, Mahama Ayariga, who is seeking a waiver of admission fees for this year. As you heard, the argument is still ongoing. We'll bring you more in our subsequent bulletins. Now, the Supreme Court will on January 26 start hearing the substantive case contained in the election petition filed by the NDC's presidential candidate in the 2020 election, John Mahama. The order, read by the Chief Justice Anin Yeboah, who is presiding over the court, is among others expected to expedite the hearing of the petition and also fixed clear timelines that deals with filing of statements. Mr. Mahama is in court seeking an annulment of the presidential election result declared by the Electoral Commission and an order for a rerun. Listen as the Chief Justice Anin gave the order.
By virtue of the powers vested in this court under Rule 5, Sub-Rule 4 of CR 99 to dispose of this petition within strict timelines, the following orders are made accordingly. 1. Mode of trial. The petitioner and the witnesses shall file witness statements with exhibits, if any, by noon of Thursday, the 21st of January 2021. 2. The witness statements shall be served on the counsel for the respondents by the close of the day of Thursday, the 21st of January 2021. 3. The respondents and their witnesses, if any, shall file their witness statements with exhibits, if any, by the close of the day on 22nd January 2021. 4. The first and second respondents shall file their submissions on the preliminary objections raised to the petition by 12 noon on Friday, the 22nd of January 2021. 4B. The registrar shall ensure service of the submissions of the preliminary objections by the close of the day on Friday, the 22nd of January 2021. C. The petitioner shall file any response to the submission of the preliminary objection by noon on Monday, the 25th of January 2021. D. The registrar shall ensure service of the petitioner's response by the close of the day on Monday, the 25th of January 2021. E. Ruling on the preliminary objection will be incorporated in the judgment of the court. Timelines. The court shall sit on Tuesday, the 26th of January 2021 for hearing of this petition.
Presiding Judge and Chief Justice Anin Yeboah there, but lead lawyer for former President Mahama, Chachu Chikata, described this order as unfair.
We have just heard the orders that you have made. We thought that part of the hearing this morning was in effect to enable us to make representations on the various things, but it looks like your lordships have made certain orders, and there is some degree of unclarity, at least in our minds, as regards what is referred to as a preliminary objection, because, my lords, there are, in the two answers, there are a number of different things that are referred to. I'm actually not clear.
Of the preliminary objection. The issue to be determined as preliminary objection. That has been set out as read by the President of the court.
Well, perhaps we could hear it again, because it was not...
Is whether or not the petition discloses any reasonable course of action. That's it. Yeah, please, we will instruct the registrar to type the orders by the close of the day, and they will be served on you. Because it's case management. You have to be fully informed of the orders.
My Lord, with respect, it is case management, and I believe we have an input that we can also make as parties, because we had, for instance, witness statements, is it by tomorrow? I mean, my Lord, with the greatest respect, I mean, we are human. I mean, maybe they're superhumans, you know, but we have filed this morning, as of this morning, we have filed an application for review of a ruling that you delivered yesterday. There are consequences to that. We also have outstanding requests to admit facts, which are due within 3 days from when they were served on the other party. There are a number of outstanding issues which have not been discussed.
Chachi Chikata is lead lawyer for former President John Mahama, who is in court over the election result.
Thank you for staying with us on JoyNews, and thank you for all your attention on the pulse. I'm Gary. I'll spend time now for the sport. Today we are speaking about strong man. Yes, not strong and man as in two different things, but the sport called strong man. And this video clip should give you an idea of what it is. You might know it in the local dialect or in the local parlance as something else.
Yes, it's too much fire. Let's go. Come on, squat it. Squat. Squat. Come on. Yes. Come on. Hey, hey. Hey. Up, up, hey, 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 hey.
In second place, Victor Ampopo from Ghana. It was a pleasure watching you compete, man. A pleasure watching you compete. He's your winner, first place. What do you mean? You tell him he didn't get anything.
That was in South Africa, and this is Ghana. And that medal hanging around his neck on the video is here. Victor Ampofu, welcome.
Thank you.
So that's Bole thing. In my neighborhood, people call it Bole or weightlifting or...
Yeah.
I mean, it has so many different names, but the official name is strongman.
Yes, this is strongman.
The sport is called... So you are a strongman athlete.
Exactly, yes.
Oh, I see. So essentially, you guys carry things, you push. What is the aim of strongman?
So the aim is just, it's more like a circuit training.
Okay.
So you have to perform like a feat of strength. You have to carry something heavy to show that you're actually strong. What makes you strong? Lift it, let's see that you're actually strong.
Ah,
yes.
So that is the sport.
That is the sport.
So we can have a strongman competition here right now.
Yes, and then
one will be that you should lift this table.
Yes, to a distance, and then we see, are you actually strong? It's just about lifting it. Can you lift it and walk with it? No. If you can't, you're not strong.
I see, and you are the second strongest man in Africa at the moment.
Yes.
So how did you begin and how did you get introduced?
So I started as a student. I actually started going to the gym as a student in KNUST some 4 years ago. And then in there, I just decided to just start lifting heavy. Because I actually started as a bodybuilder. I just wanted the muscles. But then in wanting the muscles, I also wanted to lift something heavy.
Yeah.
And then that changed my
But what did you want the muscles for? Not just by the way, not just by the way. Look at me asking somebody what does he want muscles for. So right now though, among your community, in your community where you live, your friends, how do they see this sport? Do they take it seriously?
They actually were not taking it seriously until students started taking part in this strongman competition or the strongman event.
Yeah.
Because initially they thought it was just for uneducated people, like unlettered people. But then when a strong man, like someone from KNUST, someone from Legon is taking part in it, and then the school is behind that person,
I see.
Now they understand that.
It gives it some legitimacy, exactly, I can see that. I mean, all these people, and I know there's a science behind it and all that.
Exactly, yes.
So how big is the strongman community in Ghana now?
Now, I should say it's very big now. Now we have the unlettered people taking part, and then educated ones also taking part. That should tell you we are gradually getting very bigger. and even bigger than the bodybuilding that we used to know.
Yeah, you know, all that bodybuilding, weightlifting, it was seen as for, you know, people who can't, exactly. But things are changing.
Yes.
So now, what's the future? Like, I know that in the United States and stuff, it's huge, it's big. How do you see it growing in Ghana?
In Ghana, it will grow once we understand it now, because now people know, but then they do not understand it, and they are also ignorant of the benefits. So now, gradually, when someone gets there, and then with the help of FitTrip, obviously, I will, or maybe with a team of strongmen from Ghana, will get there, and then get to the world, start getting endorsements, ambassadorial
stuff,
and then all that, and people will actually know that, yes.
So, now you are pitching it to us and for people watching. What are the benefits? Beyond looking good like yourself, you know, building the body and all that, what are the benefits of a strong man?
Aside the ambassadorial deals and all, I don't know whether you watch Game of Thrones.
Of course.
Yes, the queen, she had this tall giant.
The Mount.
That guy is the world's strongest, and he currently,
the one who had the machine is, on the
and then he holds the deadlift record, 501 kg.
I see. So there are opportunities in acting, high level.
It's diverse, and after winning every competition, they get tens of thousands of dollars, and then to hundreds of thousands.
You see, is that one that interests me?
And
I'm sure for a lot of people, I mean, because
people didn't know. People are winning the competition and getting $80,000 for one competition. So in a year, they go for like 4 competitions.
Oh wow!
Minimum.
Yeah.
They are billionaires and millionaires. You know?
So what is the next event in Africa that people should look forward to? And if somebody is already building and stuff, they want to enter, which events are those?
So in Africa, we're having the Arnold Classic in Africa, South Africa in May. And then, yes, I'll be taking part FitTrip, Team FitTrip, together with the CrossFitters from FitTrip, and they represent Ghana there in the Arnold in South Africa.
Okay, we know about the Arnold on this show because almost every year for the past 3 years, they come here.
The bodybuilders.
Roxanne and the others.
Yeah, the bodybuilders.
Yeah, those are the bodybuilders.
Those are the bodybuilders.
And then you do your strongman.
And then there's weightlifting.
So the Arnold is like an Olympics.
Festival, yes.
Oh, that's great.
Big one.
You guys, they chill. Anyway, so you keep mentioning FitTrip. I mean, what are you?
FitTrip is a fitness community in Joulu. Then that is my management now. The CEO is Hussam Ahmedi, a contractor, and yes, that's it.
I mean, FitTrip work with a lot of the staff of multimedia who are interested in bodybuilding and
CrossFit especially.
CrossFit and all that. So they are not a name that is not known to us as well. So now we know what Strongman is. We know the benefits. We know the next event. But for everyday people, beyond these, is there a leisurely or a recreational side for people who, MFA?
Yes, you can actually do it, and then you don't take it professionally.
Okay.
Yes, you can actually do it. It's a form of exercise. It's a form of exercise. The deadlifting, the squats, and just a form of exercise. And even if you don't lift heavy, you can build muscles from it too.
The host of this show, The Pulse, Gifty, in the past 1 year, she has transformed a bit. She do some weightlifting.
Maybe some CrossFit, I should think so.
Yeah, I'm sure. We should tell her. So, is there a ladies' version as well?
Yes, strong man.
Yeah.
Yes, there are strong women, very strong.
Sir?
Yes, very strong.
Don't finish me.
Easily. Very strong. Yeah, women are very strong.
No, but the way you are talking, it be like you said, they'll beat you.
Who?
The women.
Some of them, yes. Some of them are very strong.
I see.
Yeah, very strong. And then they don't look like the way you are. Maybe you are. They look just like Gifty, as you are saying.
Yeah.
Are very strong.
I see.
Yes.
I'll take your word on that. So that's Africa's second strongest man. When you see him on the roadside, I mean, just give him that space to move. Victor Kofi Ampofo, thank you very much for putting Ghana on the map again. Anybody who does that has our respect. And strongman. Would you be the next one? Maybe you should. How do people get to FitTrip? Where is it?
Joulu. Very close to Men's Go, the popular one. So.
The popular one?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you can get there. And it's another sport that we like to talk about because it's not always the football, boxing, athletics, and all those other things. I'm Gary Al Smith, and I am not as strong as he is, but that's the sport for now.
Unfortunately, we ran out of time. This is all we have for you this hour. Congratulations if you're from the United States of America as they swear in a new president, Joe Biden. My name is Gifty Andopi. MyJoyOnline.com is where you find a lot more news and information. I'll urge you to log on.